Yeah.
Okay, well, could you tell me about your, I won't say very much at all, because you'll have to ignore me, and just say something about your earliest memory and where it was and where it happened.
I think my earliest memories were a little bit vague, but it was a general feeling of austerity and wartime. I was born in June as the war began in September, and my father was already in the forces, so he went off to war. And I lived with my grandfather, with my mother, and it was we didn't have a lot of money, so it was very difficult. And I have these memories of sitting on the top of the cellar head with the noises of the bombs outside and the candle, and just generally being very, very frightened. And receiving letters from home, to our home from my father, who really had this vague sort of memory of him, but I did lose track of him really. And we used to get little parcels now and again. But later on, when I was about 6 or 7, he came back, and I didn't recognise him at all, and it took a long time for me to bond with him. But our life centred really around the local things, like the local church, and they had facilities for us. And my mother used to help at the refugee centre. And
where was that church, and where was that refugee
Wadsley Bridge Church, and also Burley Carr Church, which was a Methodist church. But they used to have concerts and facilities and things. So our entertainment as young children centred around that. My mother was also in the WRVS, and I was taken to the town hall, and the Princess Royal was there, and I had to demonstrate my gas mask, which was a Mickey Mouse gas mask, and I've got these vague memories of that.
Was that Her Majesty the Queen, as she is now? Or?
No, it was Princess Royal. Was it Princess Alice? I just forget, actually.
Okay.
We know it was Princess Royal.
And where did that take place? Where did you visit?
The Sheffield Town Hall. She visited the Sheffield Town Hall. So things were very difficult, and if by any chance one of the local little shops got some crisps in or anything like that, it was like a mass riot to try and get something like that. And we used to go to the local newspaper shop and buy chloridine lozenges, which were cough sweets. And we got a bit high on them, really, because we took too many, and eventually they were taken away because children were eating too many chloridine lozenges. And we used to buy a ha'porth of balm, and we used to damp our fingers and stick it in the balm and eat the balm, because we didn't used to get any sweets, you see. So it was pretty hard. And then when we started school...
where was that? Sorry.
Parson Cross Church of England School. And I've always had a long association with that school, because my mother's best friend was the head teacher there, and she was there for 40 years. And and her name was Miss Jessie Jones, and she was a bit of a legend in her own lifetime. And even her sister, I've recently cared for until she died at 98. So going to school, we used to go on nature walks. Everything was very simple, not like today. But I quite enjoyed school. It was a very small school, and it was very close, and everybody knew each other.
Now, talking about the next big thing I want to get to is first day at work.
Right, I can tell, yes.
Okay.
I was 16, and I went to Grange Grammar School, and I decided I wanted to be a nurse, and I was one of the first cadet nurses taken in at Lodgemore Hospital. The hours were extremely long, and unfortunately it was the time of the polio epidemic. So it meant you worked very long hours. So when I started at 16, I was expected to know lots of things, and actually knew absolutely nothing. And so it was extremely hard. But when I got my O-level results, I'd done quite well, and I got a place at the Pre-Nursing Education Centre at Tree Root Walk in Sheffield. So I was able to start there, which meant you trained in the the school, but you also went to every hospital in Sheffield as a ward clerk and gained knowledge before you could start your nursing training. And at 18, I chose to go to the Royal Hospital in Sheffield.
Wow. And what were conditions like then?
Well, at Lodgemore it was very hard because there was this paralytic polio and non-paralytic polio, and it was a very serious thing. But funnily enough, later I became a district nurse, and we had what we called a jab and jive sessions in Sheffield, where we went to the different dance halls and we set up a table, and people danced round and then came and had a polio jab. And so anyway, I saw it right through to when the vaccination started. And it was quite funny, really, because there'd be young men dancing round, and then suddenly they had their injection and they would pass out because they were so scared. But compared, I mean, it's a marvellous thing now because it's very rare you hear of polio.
Scary time it was indeed. Yes, well, have you got an abiding memory of your life in Sheffield?
I think just general, I love Sheffield, and I've always enjoyed different parts of my life. I've worked as a district nurse in Sheffield in different parts, and worked in a business in Sheffield, so just generally I just think it's a great place to live and a very friendly place to live.
Is there anything missing from Sheffield that you remember that you wish was still here?
I think probably it was a good, marvellous transport system. You could literally go everywhere. You used to go on the old trams in the bays and with all your friends and had a great time. No, I think in a lot of ways there's an improvement socially. There wasn't a lot to do in Sheffield then. And I think the countryside around Sheffield is second to none. And I think we've got marvellous villages and things. I think it's a great place. I've always been a big supporter of Sheffield.
Okay, do you have a favourite place? It's the last question.
Bradfield?
Bradfield, yes indeed. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay.